the advantage for the rest of the race. And we see MetaLow get started, CasualTom, and MetaLow finding Heatman early already.
Hey, CasualTom finding Airman resetting, MetaLow finding Crashman and resetting, and both now landing on stages that I think they're going to stick with. Bubble Man for CasualTom and Metal Man for MetaLow. Let's get this thing going.
So yeah, so as we see CasualTom and MetaLow go through their respective stages, as we should talk about the tournament settings at this point. As you already noticed, we have stage names off, so they have no idea which stages they're going to go into, as the stage select is actually randomized from all 8 robot masters. Also, as you know, CasualTom is going to Bubble Man stage. Normally you would only see a zip here, but as you can see, Tom's not going for it. He can't, because this is actually a zipless tournament. So any and all zips are pretty much banned for the entire tournament, and will range from consequences to a few seconds to outright disqualification. So our runners need to keep that in mind, as MetaLow, we're getting some interesting things on MetaLow's screen.
Yeah, looks like we got some Buster immune chickens in probably one of the more challenging spaces to find them. But MetaLow's a pro, so let's see how he handles this.
Well, MetaLow might be a pro. He's definitely known for Buster only works in Mega Man 2, one of the top runners. I believe he's also a record holder in one of the Mega Man 2 Buster only categories. But dealing with enemies like this is not something you will often face in a Buster only scenario, as you see CasualTom find Quickman in Bubble Man's room.
Alright, let's see how quick Quickman is underwater.
He's a relatively speedy boy, but he's also Buster soft weak. So in Mega Man 2, we're playing this on the easy settings, mostly for accommodations for newer runners. So of course we're dealing with extra damage for the easy mode settings. So Quickman being one of those ones that deals 4 damage to the Buster, as you saw a very vanilla Metal Man on MetaLow's side getting item 3 for his troubles. But yeah, 4 robot masters will be dealt 4 damage and they'll be soft weak to the Buster, while other robots will be dealt 2 damage.
And MetaLow finding item 3 for his trouble there as well, as CasualTom making his way through Woodman stage, finding some Buster immune chickens on that first screen as well.
And see, like we got MetaLow and Flashman stage dealing with some minor seafood roadblocks with the shrimp. Also noting that checking the walls for the crash bombs, finding out it's not Buster. So the crash walls actually have a randomized weakness. So, and it could have been Buster, but MetaLow did check it. It was not Buster, so it's one of our 7 weapons, as Time Stopper is not going to be one of our... It's not ever going to be a weakness for the walls. So that's a little bit extra information for MetaLow, as you see CasualTom go on top of the treehouse here.
And finding some fat fans up there, which you never really want to see in situations where you can fall off a ledge, but out of the screens it can be on, this one's relatively tame. As MetaLow able to grab that E-Tank outside Flashman's door, we're going to be seeing who our second boss is on MetaLow's run.
CasualTom not too far behind on his routing. He should be closing in on the Woodman room in a moment, but in Flashman's room we find Woodman himself. So a little bit of reorganizing of rooms for Woodman here, as we got some very slow falling leaves and a false start leaf shield, while we find Bubble Man in Woodman's room.
And Bubble Man going down much quicker than Woodman for sure.
So as you notice, we got a little bit of different set of attacks and AIs. One of the things that's randomized within the Mega Man 2 Randomizer is boss AI and boss attack patterns. As you saw, you got one of the more annoying Woodman patterns in that he fires his leaf shield a little bit early before it accelerates. You can call it the false start leaf shield, the accelerated leaf shield, whichever you want to call it. It's one of the more notorious ones to see on Woodman's side, and CasualTom will eventually experience it since he's in Flashman stage.
Exactly, and MetaLow has to be kind of careful here, considering he took a lot of damage on that first screen, and he has used the E-tanks he's picked up already.
Metal Blades making quick work of our hot dogs here. Another thing that is randomized is the weapons you get from each Robot Master. So MetaLow finding Metal Blades along the line, but also the thing that's randomized is the actual traits of our weapons. It looks like we got ourselves a mashable Metal Blades, but they travel very, very slowly. Each weapon has a randomized trait, so you have no idea what you're going to get from our weapons until you actually use them.
Exactly, and considering how experienced both of these runners are, we will be seeing them probably check the weapons as they go when they come up against probably Buster immune enemies and in other certain situations.
So we got CasualTom coming up towards our Woodman fight. Once again, one of the more annoying ones, but we're going to see, since he's not Buster Soft, yep, here we go, digging up weapons. Air Shooter's not doing it, and Bo's not doing it, but it looks like he's not gonna change weapons anymore, but...
Oh no! You hate to see it, he was so close, one hit away.
Thought he was able to beat him with the amount of weapons he had.
And MetaLow takes even a worse death, getting sent back halfway across the stage in Woodman stage. Right at the boss door.
Pretty much one death little bit favoring one side opposed to the other. CasualTom taking just a less significant death as opposed to MetaLow. And Woodman is a pretty long stage when you're not zipping. So MetaLow definitely is in a disadvantaged state compared to CasualTom. So CasualTom having a slight advantage thanks to pretty much a rather unfortunate situation on MetaLow's end.
Absolutely. But CasualTom coming into Metal Man, so let's see how he handles that bottom screen with the chickens. Because that could really, really be the equalizer here.
Well, CasualTom does have some weaponry on his side, so he might be able to have a weapon that can take out the chickens as quickly as possible. MetaLow getting back to the boss door pretty quickly here, so we're going to see how he handles the Bubble Man fight, which shouldn't take too long on his end. Yep, we got a Buster Soft Weak bubble, so that bubble got popped very quickly on MetaLow's end, and CasualTom dealing with the bad news chickens here. And the weapons are being favorable here.
Yeah, it looks like they're immune to just about everything. The only thing he hasn't checked is Air Shooter.
It looks like he's not gonna check on it, and MetaLow going to bubble, so at this point, our boys pretty much just retreading footsteps here, as we're not seeing too much of a difference in terms of routing at this point.
And a couple key pieces of information that we learned right at the start. MetaLow does know the position of Heatman and Crashman stage, where CasualTom knows the position of Airman stage, so can definitely expect them to be avoiding that until they have more equipment to get through those stages faster.
And it probably more so on MetaLow's end. Heatman and Crashman are probably two of the worst stages to try to deal with in the Mega Man 2 Randomizer, especially Crash. Having items along the way, in which items are randomized amongst the 8 Robot Masters, having them before Heatman or Crash can pretty much save a ton of seconds, especially considering randomized enemy placements throughout the entire game. As CasualTom gets his item 3 for his troubles.
Yes, and doing quite a show there as well with that metal dance, getting around those blades, only taking one hit. As CasualTom finds the Crashman stage. Looks like he's gonna try to get through it.
And finding some very unfortunate enemy placement. So, in the Mega Man 2 Randomizer, you can actually have some clues to what enemies are going to be in specific areas. In the first screen of Crash, you can immediately tell what's going to be in these moving platform screens. And what we found was one of the worst enemies in the entire area. in Shrimp, because Shrimp can block ladders, but fortunately he does have Time Stopper. Hopefully it'll be the Time Stopper that's kind of similar to the Flash Stopper, and it does look like it. So one of the things about the Time Stopper, one of its randomized attributes, it could be one of those that is continuously draining like its vanilla counterpart, or it'd be like in Mega Man 4 with the Flash Stopper, and it stops time for a brief period of time and just winds up using a number of energy at a point. This is probably a very fortunate situation for CasualTom that it is the item, the weapon drain, I mean not the weapon drain, but the weapon partial drain temporary time stop. Anyway, we see MetaLow kind of getting a little throttled out by one of the worst enemies in Airman stage, our friendly air crabs, and winds up gaming over, winds up going to Quickman as opposed to continuing to Airman. Not a bad decision. Hopefully you find some items on the way to make it a little simpler.
Yeah, I definitely would have to give advantage to CasualTom on that one for finding Airman so soon. Because those crabs, they'll get you every time.
One of our people in chat noting that our music is a little bit different. So yeah, one of the best things about the randomizer is that it allows for custom music. So aside from the vanilla game, you get a few themes from a few official Capcom soundtracks, Legendary Wings being one of them, and another set of customized tracks from various Mega Man 1 and 2 ROM hacks. So the music variety is very vast, as you see CasualTom finishing off his crash climb in MetaLow about halfway through the Force Beam section in Quickman stage, just a few screens away from the quick boss door.
Yeah, as CasualTom, he took a little bit of a pit stop there to pick up that health in the middle of the crash climb, which I think is a wise decision, considering he is only sitting on one E-tank, and you definitely want them for safety. As he finds Heatman at the end of Crash Stage.
And it looks like we have ourselves a Buster Week slow burner Heat. Heatman is another one of those very annoying robot masters to deal with, as we find Airman in Quickman's room.
Ooh, and he's given himself the shield pattern there. You hate to see it.
Yeah, Airman not be much of a bro, but MetaLow just getting pounded by Airman, taking another death as we find Item 2 in Crashman stage. So for surprise routing, CasualTom getting himself a little bit of an advantage here.
Yeah, absolutely. As MetaLow getting Airman down.
Yeah, Airman not being much of a bro in that fight. Pretty much putting himself in a position where the air shooters just basically shielded him, as you mentioned earlier, Ari.
Absolutely. As MetaLow optioning to go into Crashman stage now that he has Item 1 and 3.
And after dealing with this stage, he'll have Item 2 in tow, like CasualTom. And CasualTom, fortunately, finding Heatman at this point, probably going to be using Item 2 in this stage to very great effect here. Since this is definitely one of those stages you would like to have items for, because the enemy sets here can be very brutal.
Absolutely, but it seems like CasualTom is doing a great job of traversing this. Oh, and we got a zip!
That was an accidental zip where... this is one of the unfortunate consequences of a zipless tournament. You get accidental zips like those, and you wind up saving yourself a little bit, but those particular accidental zips do not result in disqualification. They're probably just going to be about a handful of seconds, probably around 3 to 5 seconds deducted. So right now, especially with CasualTom's advantage, it's not that much of a consequence.
We'll have to get some admin help here to see how we want CasualTom to play out this penalty. As he's finding Crashman at the end of Heatman stage.
Well, we got Charlie Boy, who is our tournament organizer, in chat right now, and of course I'm also an admin, and we're pretty much in the same agreement. Probably about a 5-second penalty for the accidental zip. It was clearly not on purpose, and only just says only a minute of time, so it's not that big of a deal. There are definitely worse zips that you can try to attempt to cause much more time loss or disqualification, so at this point it's not that big of a deal on CasualTom's end.
Yeah, it really won't bridge that gap, but it gives him less wiggle room just in case any mistakes are made later in the run.
Anyway, we got CasualTom going to Quick Man stage, having defeated Crash in Heat, dealing with our Stomper Joe Corridor, MetaLow finding Heatman, deciding to check on weapons, seeing if the fight can go a little faster, but as we saw in CasualTom's end, Buster was doing fine, so he wasted a little bit of time doing some weakness hunting.
Oh, and taking a death trying to jump over Heatman. You hate to see it. That body damage, though.
Yeah, one of the highest body damage counts in the game, and one of the hardest to jump over as well. MetaLow taking some very uncharacteristic deaths so far, but fortunately this is still best of 3, so he can sacrifice one loss, but that still can weigh on his mind. It can be quite a mental consequence going to game 2 if he does end up losing this round.
But MetaLow finding his full kit, which CasualTom will get after this fight. And very wisely, just taking little shots, shooting Airman in the toe, getting underneath those shielding tornadoes.
And promptly finishes him just as quickly once that air assault was bypassed. And as you said, he finally gets his full kit, and all he has left is Airman stage, which, as we saw MetaLow's in, was not the best starting point with the crabs. I didn't see what other enemies we have along the way, but crabs alone can just be a bit of a bother in this stage.
Absolutely. As we have vanilla Airman music.
So yeah, we got frogs, we got crabs. Aside from the slinkies, we pretty much just got a full foray of aquatic wildlife, just all in the airs here, all in the skies. Oh, what in the world, MetaLow? What happened to you, bud?
MetaLow seems to have gotten stuck in the middle of the screen. He's gonna have to try to find some way to take a death here.
Yeah, it looked like it's definitely a delay scroll zip here. Honestly, I think MetaLow's wisest course of action is to take a death here. But this is really, really awkward.
Yeah, awkward is definitely the word for it.
But MetaLow is continuing here. This is probably going to be one of those situations where we're probably gonna have to delegate how we're gonna do this, because this is one of those extremely rare situations where you normally don't see.
Well, he does take a death, but gets halfway through the stage.
This could be a situation where it definitely was unintentional. We might have to wind up delegating this. This could be up to about 30 seconds or more, because this was definitely unintentional.
As we see CasualTom getting his last 8 Robot Master down, which means only one thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the best eyebrows in video gaming. Look at those beauties. And that means only one thing. it is time for our favorite game in the community. And that is, at the end of this stage, there is a little tiny dragon, just a tiny one, but his color palette swapped and his weaknesses swapped as well. And we'd like to guess the weakness and the color of the dragon.
Alright, and with our game underway, I guess I'll do the opening formalities. So, I'm gonna do one of my favorite combinations. We're gonna have ourselves a true blue dragon, and one of the weaknesses will be our Buster here.
Excellent. And I'll go with my my classic color choice. We'll do Georgia Peach. So a nice peach dragon with some green accents. And you know, in honor of Frico, I'll get Bubble Lead for the weakness.
So MetaLow finally getting through a very complicated Heatman stage thanks to the delay scroll, but he's on his way to his final Robot Master and Airman, hopefully with a better kit to deal with the crabs that was kind of giving him trouble initially. Ooh, we see frogs along the side climb here. That's one of the most dangerous setups in the Wily 1 stage. There are enemies that can block the climb of that particular screen. If you got Metal Blaze, Time Stopper, having those along will definitely help you along the way. But anyway, we're on our way to our dragon. Let's see what kind of color we're about to have here.
Alright, what do we have?
That is mostly a purple dragon, although there are some blue accents. I'm mostly on the body, so I will not take that.
Alright, well, it's not Buster Week. Try and Bubble, not Bubble Week. Alright, and find a quick boomerang, which is a great weakness for Dragon, taking him down with no problems after finding that.
And a vanilla one to boot.
Yeah, it almost looked like quick boomerang was vanilla behavior as well.
Not completely vanilla, but it still did enough to do the job. Anyway, we got CasualTom here in Wily 2. Seeing our favorite space monkeys going back to their home planet here. Of course, utilizing the Force Item 2 here is to note, since we didn't mention this before, only Item 1 has a randomized attribute. Item 1 can either stay static, or have a random height, and a random time duration in which it's on the screen. Items 2 and 3 do not have a randomized attribute, especially for situations like you saw in Wily 2, where you probably needed to, you know, fly through a set of instant kill spikes, or what's coming up where you're gonna have to need an item to climb the walls here with no platform. So yeah, safe to say that items 2 and 3 are necessary to not be randomized.
Yeah, absolutely, and you'll find that the only weapons in this game that aren't are item 2, 3, and Buster, in terms of their behavior.
So MetaLow, by hook or by crook, is finally on Wily 1. Meanwhile, CasualTom is just a few screens away from Pico, who has 3 weaknesses, 4 if it's Buster. So for Wily bosses, there's a 50% chance that each and any Wily boss can be weak to the Buster. However, it will never be weak to the Time Stopper. Time Stopper is never a weakness for any Wily boss. But in this case, we find that Air Shooter one-shots them. And it looks like we got ourselves a pretty decent weapon to kill ratio here. So I think Air Shooter is definitely the go-to for this fight.
Absolutely, I would be inclined to agree. So CasualTom should have no problems getting this down. And even without taking a hit.
Yep, down goes our Pico Toasters, and he's on his way to Wily 3, which probably is one of the more uneventful stages in the randomizer. However, there is one enemy set, if we see it, that can make this a little bit more interesting, as CasualTom decides to use Wily 3 as our spot to check for our crash wall weakness.
Alright, and he's finding bubble lead.
That's gonna be a little bit annoying. Bubble is one of those weaknesses that can, in which his hitbox can, it's very annoying with the walls. It's very hard to hit, so we're gonna see how this is gonna play into our boobing fight that's coming up after this stage. As we dip into the fruit punch here, very tame enemy said, Stopper Joe's some rabbits. There are definitely worse enemies that could be here, but otherwise, very tame area as CasualTom is getting very close to our guts tank fight.
Yeah, I typically use the strategy of using item 2 over there just to speed it up a little bit, and how many times have I found fat fans to just blow me right off the item 2 right into the spikes? So let's see what Guts Tank has in store for us. Usually a pretty tame fight.
It's not the Buster, so we're doing some weakness hunting. Not air shooter. Bubbles no go. Quick is no go.
Not metal either. Alright, but finding a Crash Bomb. Used up a lot of energy, but made short work of Guts Tank.
Yeah, kind of wish he checked the explosion duration. One of the good things about crash bombs in the randomizer, especially if it's a weakness, you can theoretically one-shot a boss if it's a weakness. And seeing the weapon amount, as MetaLow goes for the suicide drop, might as well, you're far behind enough to just go for it. But yeah, the crash bombs, if the explosion duration is long enough, the explosion duration of the crash bomb also being randomized, by the way. If it's long enough and it's a weakness, you can effectively one-shot bosses. It's very effective for bosses like the Mecha Dragon and the Guts Tank.
Yeah, as CasualTom coming into what we like to call the great equalizer in the community of Wily 4. Now, another randomization that happens in this game is the false floors in this part of the stage are also randomized. So at any given point in time, if you do not use strategies like CasualTom just did, you could just fall at any given point.
Yeah, there are specific areas in that room where you can safely stand. So as CasualTom has remembered those positions and very quickly navigates them, but it's going to be an interesting situation navigating these anxiety rooms here as we find Chanky Makers in there, one of the rougher enemy sets to have in these rooms.
Yeah, you really hate to see it, especially as a runner.
So let's see how CasualTom decides to take care of this. So he decides to go with the Metal Blade route.
Yeah, taking the safe strat.
Yeah, as you can see, you can only fire 2 Metal Blades at a time here, but they are rapid fire. Didn't get to see the ammo consumption, but looks like we might have had some decent ammo consumption. So right now, CasualTom effectively just putting Wally 4 to bed here, as he's a few screens away from the boobing fights. So, would you like to tell us how the boobing fight works, Ari?
Absolutely. So, unlike the vanilla game, which has Crash Bomb as the weakness for both the walls and the boss, the weaknesses are randomized and they cannot be the same weakness. So, what CasualTom will do is he's going to try to find some easy weaknesses, which would be Metal Blade, Leaf Shield, or even Air Shooter to bypass the walls completely, but not finding Metal Blade or Air Shooter or Leaf Shield, so he is going to have to take these walls out.
And he does know his Bubble, but once again, Bubble is one of those awkward wall weaknesses where even if you are up close, it can be very hard to hit that wall hitbox. As you saw right now, as you can see, he's struggling to try to hit that very top crash wall. The hitbox for the Bubbles is just very weird with the walls, so most runners do not hope that Bubbles is a wall weakness.
Alright, he does find Crash Bomb as the weakness, which very luckily he took the time to refill that at the beginning of the stage. Otherwise, he would have been in big trouble with that fight. As he's moving on to refights, MetaLow about a stage behind, but not giving up yet.
Yep, as we see CasualTom going through our refights, one of the best things about the refights is one of the randomizer exclusives in that Wally 5 has its own separate music track and is never interrupted by the boss themes as you enter the teleports as you go through each fight, taking a page out of some ROM hacks that does the same.
Absolutely. As we just saw Flashman, didn't notice it in the original fight, but doing some bunny hops there, speeding up in the middle of the jump.
Pretty much showcasing all our robot masters in their randomized AI traits, just like our No Bro Air here, just literally just shooting himself with all of those air shooters.
Oh, CasualTom getting a good pattern on that last one. Saving himself a little bit of time there, as he's on the Crashman, which he's going to have to hunt for a weakness here, which he does find in Bubble Lead.
Yeah, we found that out just a little early when he was in that fight, but now we gotta take a little bit of extra care here. That was his last E-Tank. If he winds up fighting a Wily Machine that is actually Buster immune, chuckle, with this could be an interesting scenario for CasualTom here.
Absolutely. What do you think the odds are, considering Frico's not here, that it's going to be Buster immune?
I don't care if Frico's here or not, the odds of it being Buster immune is very, very low. It's supposed to be an odd shot for it to be Buster weak, but we just seen it way too many times that it's basically around. We just do some fake statistics and say it's just 90% that you're gonna see a Buster weak Wily Machine.
Fake statistics, my favorite kind. Alright, yeah, this CasualTom coming up to his last refight here.
Yeah, just a Buster weak Heat Man, just a few more pops, and we're gonna see if the Wily Machine does continue the trend of, you know, just being absolutely weak to the Buster. Oh my goodness, it's a friggin' miracle!
It is Buster immune!
And this is very dangerous for CasualTom. He needs to find weaknesses very quickly. He has no E-Tanks, so he can only take so many hits.
And finding Bubble Lead, but he's got to be very careful because he's got to get really close to that. And he's dead! Oh, you hate to see it.
But he does have the lights to compensate, so as long as he has the information and quickly takes out the Wally Machine, this might not be as bad of a time loss as you think. Wisely using the... Go ahead, Ari.
He is in danger again because he just took a body hit from the machine.
So he needs to be... Oh, this is not good. He's taking quite a bit of hits. And yep, he's gonna have to take another death here. So he found that the lead shield is the first phase weakness, but he's gonna need to find another potential weakness here. At least... Both phases had at least two weaknesses, but one is locked between the other. So, oh boy, he should not have. This is why I say it's important to check the attributes of your weapons. The Crash Bomb has a very long explosion duration. If he was to use the vanilla tactics for the Wily Machine and just kind of like hit the Crash Bomb below the hurt box, that could have one-shot the Wily Machine, and now he's very much in danger of gaming over here.
Wow, you really do hate to see this, especially with such a significant lead.
It looked like he finds Atomic Fire as another weakness for the first phase, so he's not out of it yet, but he cannot take any unfortunate damage here. At this point, now time penalties that were accrued from the previous situations may actually now fall into effect here. MetaLow is able to get by these Robot Master refights fast enough. But
and getting him down. CasualTom pulling into Victory Road, but it seems like he will be taking a 5-second penalty from that unintentional zip and Heat Man. So, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a race on our hands.
Yeah, those game overs for MetaLow and CasualTom taking the opposite sides, realizing that he used quite a bit of energy for throughout those Wilding Machine failures. So we still have a situation here where he might not have enough energy for the weakness for the alien, and there is only one weakness for the alien. So we got ourselves a pretty interesting situation as MetaLow is doing his final refight on his way to our Buster Immune Wally machine.
And it could all come down to CasualTom running out of energy here, and MetaLow getting Wily Machine down in 1 to go.
Alright, so let's dig for our weakness. It's not Crash, fortunately. It's not Metal Release. So the hunt still continues.
Not Air Shooter. Not Leaf Shield. Not Bubble. And it is Buster Week. What a good break for Tom.
But it took him quite a bit of time to check that. Normally you would think you would try Buster first, but at this point it doesn't matter. CasualTom finishing with official SRL time of 36:10, but of course with the time penalties it's more of a 36:15. But at this point, MetaLow actually forfeited. Considering the really awkward situation he had in the 8 Robos, I don't blame MetaLow for forfeiting. It was a pretty significant deficit to try to overcome. Even with Tom's deaths in the Wilding Machine, MetaLow was still quite a ways behind, and who knows what could have happened. But that was a very interesting finish.
Yes, for sure. CasualTom limping across the finish line, but that was enough, as both runners actually accrued a 5-second penalty for an unintentional zip, so we're just going to go ahead and wash that out. Tom taking the first game. GG's to both runners. That was a tough seed for sure.
Yeah, we're going to see if MetaLow is able to bounce back. Like I said, I'm very high on MetaLow's abilities as far as Mega Man 2 and in general in Vanilla and Randomizer. But the thing about MetaLow is he is definitely prone to mistakes if the Randomizer winds up giving him some very bad hands. As you can see, the Randomizer just pretty much just whipped MetaLow all over the place as he accrued a couple of game overs throughout this particular seed here. So of course we've been hearing about MetaLow being rusty as the Randomizer tournament was going on. You gotta remember, he's still top 4.
Absolutely. And that just goes to show how experienced he is in, the game in general. So, anything could still happen, ladies and gentlemen. Even though Tom took the first race, if MetaLow had a little bit of a cleaner run, it would have been his game easily. So as we take a small break while both runners are getting their next seed set up, I'm really interested to see how the second game goes. Because MetaLow is the kind of runner who is just going to put that behind him and just power through. He's going to take those mistakes, internalize them, and make sure not to make them in the second game.
Yeah, we're just gonna see how it goes for the second race. Like I said, this is a best of 3 tournament. Of course, for those that are just not coming in and wondering what's going on, first and foremost, this is your boy LV Creed here on the comms. Alongside me is Ari Species. We are doing the Mega Man 2 Randomizer tournament. This is a zipless tournament, which means no zips, and you will see later that our stage names have been hidden, in which the stage select is shuffled amongst them. So we're gonna have ourselves an interesting scenario. As y'all, for those that are coming in again, CasualTom did beat MetaLow in the first race of our best of 3. We're gonna see if MetaLow can tie it up and bring us to a game 3.
So, to explain a little bit more about the randomizer as well, if you've never seen the Mega Man 2 randomizer before, this is probably, in my opinion, the best innovation in classic Mega. Taking a classic game like Mega Man 2 and flipping everything around. Do you care to explain a little bit about what's randomized in the game, Creed?
Yes. We have a small little saying here in the Mega Man 2 randomizer community that it's actually easier to say what isn't randomized than what is, because we have a lot of things randomized. So let's see if we can talk about what actually is randomized. So the stage select is actually randomized. The stage selection on the screen, the robot masters that are portraits are randomized throughout the stage select. Of course, when you actually select the stage, you will go to that robot master stage. However, the enemies are randomized, the bosses in their respective rooms are randomized, the weaknesses are randomized between robot masters and the enemies. The colors are randomized, the music are randomized, the weapons you get from the robot masters and the items are randomized. The weapon attributes are randomized. Item 1 is randomized. Items 2 and 3 are not randomized. Mega Man's physics are not randomized. The general stage layouts aren't randomized, except for a few cases, such as Airman stage, which has a slight platforming change due to a potential game-breaking situation with the open air section with the Lightning Lords. Like I said, colors, music, even you can see on CasualTom's end, we got introductions randomized. You got a randomized developer, a randomized country that's in use for, a randomized story dialogue before the title screen call, which looks like it's Shadow of the Ninja this time around. But yeah, with my mouth being full of me talking up a storm here, we've done quite a bit with the randomizer.
Just a little bit. But that makes it so exciting, because it is a new game every single time you see it. As we're going to check in on MetaLow and see where he is at with his setup real quick. Make sure everything is going well on his end. Seeing if he's just trying to make some adjustments, maybe change a controller, who knows.
And knowing MetaLow, he about just took a quick break.
Yes, but I certainly have to say, like, this tournament so far has been incredibly exciting this year. We've seen some of the best players in the community coming together, going head-to-head, and we are down to the top 4. So right now, we are in the semifinals of the Challengers bracket. It is CasualTom versus MetaLow. Loser leaves the tournament.
Alright, see, like our runners are ready. Gonna wind up releasing the floodgates in a bit moment, as I'll go ahead and do that.
Doesn't look like MetaLow has started up the new seed yet.
Well, it's probably gonna take some time for the stream to catch up, so hopefully he should have his seed ready by then. Well, I'm gonna make double sure of that.
Gotta punch the ye old punching big before coming back. You're right, Orion 300. I know I did that after my races. As it looks like MetaLow's got the new seat up.
Just gonna refresh the stream here right quick to make sure that we are indeed in sync with the stream here. And I have released our runners, so in a little bit we shall have our runners ready for race 2 of our best of 3 in this particular matchup. CasualTom representing a very strong Group A here, which Group A pretty much dominated the brackets. MetaLow coming in as a wild card due to extraordinary situations happening throughout the tournament where we had to get ourselves to wildcard races, MetaLow being our second entry here.
Absolutely, and I will point out that 3 of our top 4 runners are from Group A.
Safe to say Group A was a strong group this particular tournament year. But anyway, looks like we got our boys on the title screen. Probably watching the countdown here. We'll still be ready in a few seconds here.